Hi, this is Paul Har from the Saxophonist magazine, and I'm here with a playtest and review of the new S-Series mouthpiece from the Boston Sax Shop. I think tone should be the first, second, and third thing that we're thinking about whenever we're choosing a mouthpiece. And I have to tell you that the S-Series mouthpiece is unique to just about anything I've played on the market, and here's why. There is a flood of great mouthpieces, from hard rubber to metal to 3D printed, from dental material to plastic to carbon fiber, and they're all excellent mouthpieces, but generally are based upon one of a few designs, and that is Meyer, Autolink, Berg Larson, or maybe a Gardala for those who are really wanting wattage and power. The S-Series mouthpiece is patterned not off of one of those, but is inspired by one of Jack's personal Selmer soloist mouthpieces that he has messed around with over the years and really found the sound that he loves. This is not a mouthpiece that forces you into a particular direction, but has all the rich, warm tonal characteristics, overtones, and depth that we love as fans of players like Joe Henderson, Rich Perry, certain periods of time of Stan Getz, certain periods of time of Sonny Rollins, people who all used the Selmer soloist mouthpieces, but really maybe chose to go a different route. You know, for me personally, I played Selmer soloist mouthpieces throughout my career as a classical player. I didn't have much luck as a jazz player because where I got that evenness of sound and evenness of scale, the thin tip openings or the small tip openings, and just the inability to voice the way I need to for jazz, it just wouldn't allow it. I will give Jack credit. This feels familiar to me. This instantly, I played 2 or 3 notes and I thought, man, this it looks kind of like an Autolink, but I thought to myself, this feels like a soloist, with the exception down below G. There's no gurgles. In fact, when I first tried the mouthpiece, it was so familiar, I did those characteristic things that I always had to do. I had to subtone to be able to get the notes out. You can hear from middle B flat, even, it has a beautiful, vibrant, responsive sound. Really nothing on it like it on the market. Okay, let's talk about response. The S-Series mouthpiece is different from its inspiration, the soloist, mainly in articulation and response. This was where, for a lot of us, we decided to part company in the jazz realm. especially tonguing down low. See, I even find myself kind of fighting, because of the tonal imprint is so familiar, I fight myself having to make those internal changes that I've had to make for over 30 years. I can get a nice full articulation at a variety of dynamic points. You could never do that low F on a stock short shank soloist. You just couldn't. Overall, the response is brilliant. Particularly the ability to change the tone color, and that's a big thing for me. So I can change to more of a high wattage sound. I can change my voicing and feather out the sound. I can go. I can do a lot of different things, but the response is quick, it is clear, and most impressively, in the extreme registers, it's even not only with the tone, but the response. Hi, we hope you're enjoying this product review video. You know, the Saxophonist Magazine produces these videos free of charge and presents them right here on YouTube as a way of giving back to the saxophone community, because we want you to be educated and informed on all of your product purchases. So we'd like to ask that if you like this video and others that we've done, that you click the subscribe button below and like this video. Also, if you haven't done so, please go to www.thesaxophonist.org and consider subscribing to our magazine so you can get great product reviews like these, informative articles, and educational features. Now, back to the review. Okay, let's talk aesthetics. I know, what does it matter what the aesthetics of a product is, like a mouthpiece or a saxophone? It's how it plays. But let's face it, if aesthetics didn't matter, we wouldn't be talking about all the great engraving that happened on those Kahn Chewberry saxophones, and we would not view this logo, I think it's like an Art Deco logo, as it's almost like an internal fashion brand now. You see people sporting beanies, stickers, everything. And I've got to give Jack credit. One of the things that he has done is he's given us quality products, but he's also done it with a sense of style and flair, from his neck straps to his cases to things like that. And ever present is the Boston Sax Shop logo. Looking at this mouthpiece, it reminds me, at least, of a vintage Autolink. This is not that chain link scroll that we're used to seeing on the Autolink, but it reminds us of it. The shape of the mouthpiece is somewhat between a Meyer and an Autolink. The back of it is a little different. It almost reminds me of a woodwind mouthpiece from back in the day. The engraving and everything it's not stamped, it's engraved. This is deep. If I was to adjust the mouthpiece on the cork, I can actually feel the ridges here. It's made out of beautiful bar stock rubber. You can see, without showing my internal junk here, you can see beautiful tip work, beautiful flat facing. The mouthpieces are CNC machined, but they are sent to Jack, and every one of the mouthpieces is hand finished and play tested against his original inspiration mouthpiece before it goes out. Each mouthpiece is then signed by Jack and ready to go out for purchase. The quality of the material is important. This is a solid mouthpiece. It is not a pseudo resin plastic. Nothing against those mouthpieces that are made of that, but this is a good old-fashioned bar stock, gonna last for 20, 30 years if you take care of it the right way. talk about pitch. I'm really kind of surprised how well this mouthpiece responds given the length of the facing and the tip opening. Now this is a 105 tip opening, and it has a pretty long facing curve. Like, I think it's a 52. I call it the Jerry Bergonzi curve because Jerry swears by that number. But it really plays like a 6 or 6 star with a narrow tip opening and a shorter facing. It has that precision. The pitch is dead on. And any micro adjustments that I have to make, you know, we can play great with the tuner, but we might not play great with our friend, the trumpet player. And any micro adjustments we have to make are immediate and quick and really feels like a much smaller, shorter facing mouthpiece in how well and precise it is. I don't know what the magic formula is. Again, I don't care. It plays well. Now let's talk about flexibility and versatility. Okay, they're one and the same, but let me explain. Flexibility is the ability for me to create different timbres. So, now, I have the ability to make the tone that I want to make, and that for me is number one, most important. I don't want a mouthpiece telling me how I'm going to play. I have a tonal imagination, and I've worked really hard to try to create the various sounds I want to create. If I want to go, I know how to do that, and I want the sound to come out the way I hear it in my head. I can, with this mouthpiece, now, would I do serious pop horn work with this mouthpiece? No. But the guttural nature of the sound, the flexibility, the ability to do it is there. It's just I would have to work a little harder. So some of you might look at my score where I scored versatility and flexibility as a 90 as a bad score. It's not a bad score. This is not a Tower of Power mouthpiece. This is not a Gardala. This is not to compete with electronic instruments. This is a mouthpiece that's designed to give you a dark, rich, beautiful tone that can be used in a small group setting and a big band. It does carry enough volume, and I can make enough changes, you know. I can create a whole variety of sounds, and most importantly, I don't have to think about doing it. I just do it, and it works well. Doesn't it, Emma? Now I'm going to talk about comfort in a few ways. First of all, the way it feels in your mouth. This mouthpiece is neither too wide or too tall. The beak of it is a little taller than I'm used to using right now, but it's not unlike anything else. In fact, it feels very much like an auto lake. You can see I'm not having to do a lot of contorting to be able to work with the mouthpiece. It feels like an extension. So comfort is great. Now let's talk about a few other things that I lump into the comfort element. One is this here, the shank, and that's the opening of the shank. Some mouthpieces are so ridiculously large that I have to carry a ream of paper with me just to sure up the cork. Others, I remember when I got my first Gardala, I had to sand the cork to the point where I almost saw the brass to get that sucker on. This is, I don't know if it was intentional or just happenstance, but either way, this is a natural opening. It's going to work on a variety of saxophones. Obviously, you're going to have to fit your cork to it, but it's not ridiculous. The other part of comfort is the ability to adjust the mouthpiece. Now, we have a lot of ligatures that can fit this mouthpiece, and some of them are a little temperamental. If you try to move it, they'll move the ligature too. This mouthpiece has got enough space for me to put 2 fingers, and I got pretty big hands, to be able to move the mouthpiece down here. Also, let's talk about that ligature. This will fit I used a Selmer 2-screw ligature, a Selmer 1-screw ligature. I used Rovner. I used Bonad. I used Silverstein. Oh, no, that's it. Oh, Van Doren. And, of course, the Boston Sack Shop ligature. And I have to tell you, it was kind of funny. We did a review last issue of the Boston Sack Shop ligatures, and I did a review of all the ligatures except one, the gold-plated one. The gold-plated ligature that came, it does not come with this mouthpiece, but Jack sent me one because he didn't have one for me to test before. Man, it pairs so well with this. It really helps give that depth and intensity of tone. It's really a lot of fun. So from a comfort level, both in the mouth, both, ligature, moving, things like that, I give it a 93. Okay, let's talk about price. Now, price is generally an area that I don't like to get, it's subjective for me, okay? Because you might have a mouthpiece that costs $500 where $100 worth or $200 worth of effort was put into it, and it's a pretty decent mouthpiece, nothing great. Or you could have a mouthpiece that is $125 and tens of thousands of dollars has gone into the research. There is no correct or incorrect amount for me. It's what you, the audience, and the consumer is willing to pay. So I just simply mention it. But in 2020, let's face it, and especially for musicians, price and the cost of living is a factor. Now, I will say in comparison to other mouthpieces of its kind of micro brand version, 10M Fan, Drake, Jody Jazz, although Jody Jazz is now I consider a little bit bigger, much bigger brand, or Marantz, things like that. This mouthpiece at $399 is pretty much within the line of what a micro brand specialty hard rubber mouthpiece will fetch. I think it probably, for those of you who are like, oh gosh, that's $400. Yeah, you can pay $125 or $200 for a mouthpiece, and maybe that works for you. That's your choice. What I will tell you is there's not a mouthpiece that has this tonal footprint. So I don't have a problem with it at all. Now, if you're one of those people who is like, oh, great, I'm going to buy this mouthpiece because it's going to make me sound like Joe Henderson, there's not a single mouthpiece, nor is there anything that Jack Finucane or anybody can do to help you get that way, except for you to practice and develop a tonal imagination. That being said, if you were wanting something in that vein, this is one of the few options I think that you have out there of quality that you'll want to check out. So for the $400 price, not too bad. Now, if you want to get $20 off of that, you have to check out the written review at www.thesaxophonist.org and find out how you might be able to get $20 off this if you think that this is a mouthpiece you want to get. Okay, so what were my overall thoughts about this mouthpiece? I'm blown away. What a great way to start out 2021. Happy New Year. Not because it's a good mouthpiece, let's face it. It was getting to the point where I was trying so many mouthpieces with the technology we have between being able to digitally scan products and reproduce them and create them with 3D printers and things like that. It's getting to be the point of diminishing returns. Everything plays well in comparison to what it did 50, 60, 70 years ago. Here's what I will tell you. This is a unique mouthpiece. The best compliment that I can give is I don't notice it's there. In fact, I've only probably played one other mouthpiece that I felt this connected to, where I play and anything I want to do, even going into the Altissimo, which is not where I live my life, was so easy, and I didn't have to think about the music I was making. It was just there. It's this mouthpiece and probably Ted Klum's Florida model mouthpiece. This is unlike anything that I've seen on the market. It has a completely different tonal footprint, and I'm going to imagine that after people start playing this mouthpiece and using it, that all the other companies are going to be coming out with their own version. So, you know, that's just the way the world works. Here's what I will tell you. Honest to goodness, this is a mouthpiece that if you're a serious player and you like that hard rubber feel and you're looking for it, this is it. This is the one to check out. I'm impressed with all facets of it. And, you know, I warned Jack a long time ago when he started getting into the products. I said, whatever you do, if you make the products and you make them well, for God's sake, don't change it and don't cheapen them. And so far, he's just kind of on a roll. So the Boston Sack Shop mouthpiece is a real keeper, and definitely my total score for everything, this one averaged out to be a 93, so pretty high. If you want to check out an even more in-depth review than this one, be sure to go on to www.thesaxophonist.org. There's a little discount special if you read that review. And also, if you are there and you have time, we have some great interviews, educational features, and of course, more product reviews. So please enjoy your new year and check out thesaxophonist.org.